Good morning, listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Accidental Farmer Podcast, the podcast that gives you the real dirt on farming. Today, I'm very excited to have our special guest, Alexander Osinga, who is the CEO of Greenspoon. Greenspoon is a B Corp certified online supermarket in Kenya. I am going to read his bio, as is the tradition, and then we're going to get into the conversation. Alexander Osinga is a dynamic business leader, investor, and CEO of Greenspoon, a B Corp certified online supermarket in Kenya. Since joining the company in 2021, he has driven an impressive 12 times growth, transforming Greenspoon into one of Africa's few profitable e-commerce companies. With a strong academic foundation in Econometrics and Management Science from the Erasmus School of Economics, where he graduated cum laude, Alexander, who is only 32, brings a data-driven approach to business leadership. His career included advising large multinationals and governmental organizations as a strategy consultant in Amsterdam and CEO at Bio Food Products Ltd, where he continues to serve as a strategic advisor. As Greenspoon's CEO, Alexander oversees operations including finance, HR, logistics, warehousing, and procurement. Under his leadership, the company has invested in tech, quality, combined with strong operational efficiency. Greenspoon offers value to its customers and suppliers by sourcing organic and regeneratively grown produce through a quality-based pricing model. Behind his primary role, Alexander serves as an investor and advisor within the Nairobi Business Angel Network and offers pro bono consulting to business and startups. His focus on sustainable business practices, technological innovation, and vertical integration has positioned Greenspoon as a leader in Kenya's digital commerce landscape. Alex, welcome to the show.
Sounds like a very nice guy, that Alex.
Yeah. Do you recognize Alex?
I thought these bios were never meant to read aloud, but thank you for doing that, Joe.
No, yeah. Good. Alex, you've had a fascinating journey. From studying econometrics, I tried one module in econometrics and I said, I'm done.
Sorry.
Yeah, you understand, right?
Yeah,
it's so abstract.
Yes.
And management science leading, and now you're leading one of Kenya's top e-commerce companies. Walk us through your career path. How do you go from econometrics to Greenspoon?
Yeah, interesting question. I think when I have to summarize it in one sentence, when people ask me how did a guy from a small village in the Netherlands end up in Kenya as leading Greenspoon, I always summarize it in one sentence. I said yes too many times. And I think that is like the path of my career, right? I've always been looking to get a new challenge, right? And econometrics has been a challenge, strategy consulting has been a challenge, and now ending up leading my own company has been a huge challenge, but also extremely exciting, right? And that's what I always say. Like sometimes you just need to say yes, and then think about how you're going to do it. Rather than like, how is this going to work? Because if I would have known now or back then what I know now, I would probably not have said yes.
Yeah.
Right? Would you also say with your in farming?
Absolutely. Yeah. Jump in and then figure it out, right?
Yes. If nobody's telling you about the failed harvest, market access not be there.
No.
Machines not working, staff stealing, staff leaving. Nobody's telling you about it, right? But I think that's the reality of doing business. And we can only compare over time. You mature,
yes,
right. And I think for many people, if you're in your beginning of your career, you can recognize one day you feel like a hero, and one day you feel like you know nothing.
Yes,
and that's the same with business. Right.
Ups
some day you feel like my business is going to the moon, and some days like, what is this worth? Why am I doing this? And the truth is somewhere probably in the middle.
Yeah, as they say in Canada, sometimes you get the bear. And sometimes the bear gets you. Right? So tell me, what is the pivotal moment that made you realize e-commerce, and especially sustainable food commerce, was where you wanted to focus your energies? So now you've got into greens. What made you think about that?
That's a very interesting question too. Like, I've grown up in the Netherlands, where e-commerce has been big very early on, right?
Okay.
So we bought books, we bought DVDs when they were still there, Blu-ray DVDs, clothes at one point, electronics. And in 2020, when I came back to Kenya during COVID, there was a massive rise in e-commerce players.
Yes.
Yeah, and e-commerce groceries as well. And in Netherlands, the labor costs are extremely high. To pack an order, you need to spend a lot of money on staff. And when I came in Kenya, I saw going to a supermarket was not a very pleasant experience, right? It's the parking, it's the queuing, the quality of the product that is not there. If you want to get something really nice, right, you're traveling quite a lot, right? So I also had a flatmate who was spending her whole Sunday to go to different farmers market and get this bread and get this meat from Prime Cuts and
you couldn't get them from one location,
right? And then we got in touch with Juliet because Juliet founded Greenspoon from that exact idea, right? Bringing the farmers market online, right? And bringing the stories of the farmers to more people.
Yes.
Right? Because if you are only at the farmers market, who is your market? Only the people who go to the farmers market, right?
The vendors who show up.
Yeah. And also for the customers, right? Which customer is going to the farmers market every week?
That's true. That's very true. Yeah.
Even the people who love it, will they go every week? Anyway, so we were supplying Greenspoon through Bio, right?
Okay.
Bio is the only dairy processor in Kenya that is producing under European quality standards. And
is that a fact?
Yeah, that's a fact. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We have evidence.
Okay, no.
We test our milk 40 times over the whole value chain, every drop, every drop of product, and there was a natural, very good fit with Greenspoon and Bio. Juliet said, "I've bought the business to here. I need help operationally and also in terms of investment." And we and in a market where nobody was looking to do investment because everybody's looking at COVID, we saw the opportunity and we invested.
So this was a COVID business, effectively.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So sometimes you need demand and supply shocks to shape a market, right? Yeah. And I mean, a great example is Zoom, right? Zoom is a video conferencing, right? They had a product.
Yeah. And we didn't know much about them. We knew about Skype, but we didn't know much about Zoom until
COVID. The first weeks of COVID, right? Yeah. And the same is with Greenspoon, right? There were a lot of suppliers who were supplying restaurants, were supplying hotels, and if business has slowed down, and then we had a lot on the demand side. We had a lot of customers who didn't want to go to supermarket anymore.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cold start, they call it, cold start problem, right? Yeah. If you at Greenspoon, if we want to introduce a new product, we need to have demand. That's so where do you start, right? Do you get the demand first? You first need to get the product. Yeah. Slowly build the demand.
Then build the demand.
Yes,
absolutely. Okay, and you've achieved a 12x growth.
I think now even more, but
wow, that is remarkable.
Yes.
What were some of the early challenges you faced as the CEO? Now, not when you took over.
Where can I start? Right, it's very challenging.
Long list.
Yeah, so we started when we had the first day that we came to Greenspoon. We were in a Karen cottage backyard.
You were in a container, I
yes.
think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We were in a container, so we had to move to a proper warehouse.
Yeah.
We walked into the warehouse. We said we put all the stuff that we had. It was completely empty. It's like, oof. Have we gotten a warehouse that is too big?
You've bitten off more than you can chew.
Exactly. And now we have two of those warehouses, and they're completely, fully packed.
Yeah.
But you need to think ahead.
Yes. Yeah.
It's getting and I think the most important thing is people, right? The return investment on people.
Yes.
The difference between what we call an A player, like someone who you don't even need to think about what the assignment that you give them, because they think of it. Yeah. They come up with a problem. They come up with a solution, and they think of the next step. The difference between an A player and someone that you need to drag along, is very big.
Yeah.
And I think we've learned a lot there. How can you test? There's a lot of talent available in Kenya.
Okay.
And we have found out, like in interviews, we only look for two things. We look for talent and we look for attitude.
Okay.
Talent we can test. We do online tests with everybody we hire.
Yeah.
The attitude we cannot test. So you need to tell stories.
Yeah.
You need to tell stories. So what you experienced with your farm.
Yes.
Right. Going through incredible hardship
Yes.
and not giving up.
Yeah.
That is what attitude means.
Yeah.
And it's meaning that every feedback that you get, you absorb to grow.
Yeah.
So that's what we like. People has been instrumental.
Yeah. And being although you have produce or products, it's really a service business, isn't
Exactly.
it? Yeah.
And people always ask, like, how do you get the quality up so high? Why is your quality better?
Yeah.
Than
others?
Yeah. Why is there a difference? Right? You're so small.
Yeah.
They are so big. How come your quality is better?
Yeah. That's true. But e-commerce is notoriously difficult,
yes.
Alex. It is.
Yeah.
We've seen many companies come and go, and you're still here. In fact, you're growing.
Yes.
Big things. What's the secret? What are you doing? How are you being profitable?
Okay. Yeah. So that is that boils down to unit economics, right? Mm-hmm. So what do I make on profit on an order, and how much does it cost me to deliver that order, and can I make money out of that?
Yeah.
This is a very simple, very fundamental question. And which market driving forces are gonna put that profit up or down over time?
Yeah, but e-commerce, we always hear this thing of last mile. Fulfillment is notoriously
complicated and
complicated, expensive, thankless. You name it. Yeah. And how do you crack that? Especially dealing with perishables. If my phone comes a day late.
Yeah.
But if my tomatoes come an hour late.
Yeah, that's very good. So that's when we looked at Greenspoon, I think within 2 weeks we were convinced that we wanted to do it.
Okay.
Right? We wanted to do that. We wanted to invest because we looked at what are the driving factors to bring the cost per delivery down. And that with Greenspoon was very simple. We have vans.
Yeah.
So where normal people can only take one order on a bike.
Yeah.
Or 2 orders on a bike.
Yeah.
We can take 20.
Consolidate the orders.
Yeah, we could take 25 orders in one van.
Okay.
And then suddenly your unit economics start making sense, right? And because we had more like a milkman model, right? Our guys were going into the areas.
Yeah. So
they would do stops.
Yeah. Okay, I knew.
So that means that the more that the zone grows in terms of orders, the cost per order fundamentally should go down.
Should come down. Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why it doesn't come down, but theoretically, there's a theoretical principle that you can defend that the cost per order will go down.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we need to make sure that we have less waste than a supermarket.
Okay.
Now, can we have less waste? I think we can, and we also have.
And how do you reduce the waste?
I think it's treating products with love.
Okay.
Right. So we spend a lot of time on optimal storage, on optimal sourcing. So we have, for example, refractometers. Where we test every mango that we get in, whether the sugar content or the bricks nutrient content is high enough.
Yeah.
Your listeners will love this, right? On the farm.
Yeah.
So we test everything.
Yeah.
It helps us to find out whether a fruit was actually harvested mature.
Yeah.
Right? What we had in the past, we had immature fruits, which is horrible.
Which is still a problem, especially with avocados and export.
Exactly.
We're accused constantly of harvesting immature.
And I understand it from the supplier, right?
Yeah.
I mean, an immature fruit, it's easier to transport. It has a longer shelf life.
Yeah.
But we have said we are not going to do it.
Yeah.
And that means that we have to disappoint a lot of farmers.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. And that's in my bio, it talks about quality-based pricing.
Yes.
So we have to disappoint a lot of farmers because they cannot produce up to our standard.
Yeah.
However, we are willing to help them to get to our standard.
Yeah.
And if they get to our standard, we pay them more.
Yeah.
And we are a relatively stable off-taker if we get the right quality for a normal price.
Yeah, that I should have given this disclaimer that I am.
You're conflicted.
I'm not really conflicted, but I'm one of your vendors,
suppliers,
and I'm one of your suppliers, and I appreciate the rigors. The process was quite rigorous.
Yeah.
Your team has visited our farm, I think, on 3 different occasions.
Yeah.
Has given us some advice on how our produce. We get feedback. Why, as a farmer, why we like selling through Greenspoon or to Greenspoon is because of the feedback. We feel we're quite close to the customer.
Yeah.
As opposed to bulk buyers who never give you feedback on your produce.
Yeah.
And that doesn't help us in terms of trying to improve the standard of our produce.
So when we looked at Greenspoon and looked at investing, we looked at 3 things that we need to control to make this work.
Okay.
And that's, first of all, is the supply.
Okay.
At this moment, we are working together with over 1,000 farmers and artisans. My ambition is to work with a lot more. A lot more, and to be a lot more stable in the terms of the supply, right? So with Greenspoon, we are currently serving like 15,000 households over the past year.
Okay.
I think there's no reason that we cannot go to 150,000 households.
Times, 12 times seems to be the magic number. Okay.
12 times? No, I think we're still very small, right?
Yeah.
If you look at our nearest competitor, like if you look at Generana, they are still 30 to 40 times bigger than we are.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of room to grow.
Yeah. But they have a different model,
a different
perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why we work together with farmers, and not because we and Greenspoon should not become an expensive. We are perceived sometimes as expensive.
Yes.
We don't want to be expensive, right? We want to give farmers a clear value, and we want to pay a fair price for the quality that we get, right? And the quality that we sell to the customers needs to have a fair price. Okay. However, if organic over the long run, right? If organic and regeneratively grown and products and animal welfare safe products, or how do you call it? Like compliant.
Yeah. Okay.
If they can only be found in specialty stores.
Yeah.
Right? If you need to go deep somewhere in a mall, and they can only be found in specialty stores, we're not solving a problem.
No.
We need to bring organic regenerative to 10-15% of the total sales, right? It's never going to be 100%.
No.
But 10-15%, then we can give markets, right? And people can start investing in machinery and get more land and get their neighbors on board as well, right? And we can send bigger trucks, and you only have to send one big truck instead of... You get what I mean, right?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, so that's economies of scale, really.
It's scale economies for everyone, right? And scale economies, you will only invest in your farm if you get a stable price.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or you get an off-taker at the right price.
Yes. Exactly. So that's on the supply chain. We still have to do a lot of work. Don't get me wrong, but we're making. I like the steps that we're taking, right? And it's all because we're all learning, right? We're on a learning journey, right?
That's right.
On supply chain, that's number one that we needed to focus on. Second one is tech, right? So 99% of e-commerce websites are based on jewelry, fashion, watches, clothing, kid stuff, right? So that means that your basket's typically 1, 2, 3 items, 5 if you want to restock your shirts for the coming year.
Yeah.
An average order at Greenspoon has 23 items.
I find that fascinating. That's quite high,
Yes.
Because you don't do the whole gum. You don't do everything that we find in a supermarket. You just do the...
We're getting close.
Oh, really? Yeah? Yes. Increasing the number of products, huh?
Yeah. So we have actually made a very fundamental change in that sense. Like in the past, we didn't sell Pampers, Coca-Cola, detergents. Because we wanted to be pure. We want to be focused. And we say like, this is not good for you. So this is... And we realized that we hit a limit, right? While we took some people on board, we also said to a lot of people, no, you cannot buy from Greenspoon. And that's not a business that I want to run, right? I want to be a business for everyone or everybody who wants to, right? And I'm not going to say, I mean, if you take a Kit Kat or you go take KFC, do you know it's bad for you? Of course you know it's bad for you.
Oh, Alex, you sound like you're selling your soul, my friend.
And I think
you're having an inclusive approach, but now you're
we have said, okay, we're going to sell certain of these items, but we will, as only one supermarket in the world, actually say, hey, this has serious health risks.
You're going to have a warning.
Yeah.
Okay.
People can make their own decisions, right?
Okay.
We don't need, but we can inform people about it, right? About if you have choice A and choice B.
Okay, but so then what products will be off limits? Are we going to?
We don't sell cigarettes.
Okay, I was going to say where does it? But alcohol, yes. Cigarettes,
we were selling alcohol already for a long time.
Okay.
We have like one of the widest wine collections.
Okay,
and people drink.
Okay, so tobacco is a no.
Tobacco is no.
Oh no for now.
No, never.
Okay. But you've talked a little bit, I like what you talk about quality, technology, and operational efficiency. And you talked a little bit about some of the innovations. I would like to know about, the warehouse. What do you do operational efficiency? What innovation have you created in operational efficiency?
So we are numbers people, right? So
Econometrics.
So we are looking all the time at how can we make stuff more efficient, right? And we look at how many items do we pack per hour? How many items do we pack per person? How many orders per rider? All these metrics, right? Not because we want to rank people.
No.
You are higher, you are lower, blah, 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 blah. But we want to find out, like, we change a lot of things in our process all the time.
Yeah.
And we want to find out, like, does this work?
Yeah.
Does this work? Does this scale? And every time, like, of the 10 things that we try, maybe 1 or 2 work.
Yeah.
And sometimes very surprising stuff works really well.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have had very high hopes.
And
some very complicated.
So,
for example, over the past weeks, we have gone through a process where we went from paper-based packing to completely digital.
Packing.
Yeah, packing, like order picking, right?
Okay,
so you pick the
okay.
order. So like Joe has ordered, he has all these 23 items.
Yeah.
They're in these warehouse bins.
Yeah.
I need to get them together and check whether they're there and go.
Yeah.
So we were doing 60,000 sheets of paper every month.
Not sustainable. Yeah.
And it's like paper is very nice, right? For yourself to write.
Yeah.
But paper doesn't share easily. So we found out like in our warehouse, we were hitting the limits of how well we could collaborate.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we try to reduce in our warehouse is the number of steps that someone takes.
Yeah.
Right? If people are closer to where they need to be, they don't need to move from back to forth, then they are more efficient.
And less room for error as well, right?
Less room for error. They're specializing, etc. Just like what Toyota and Citroën and stuff already found out very long time ago. Kaizen, etc. Toyota way.
Yeah.
And we found out like with paper, it's not easy to share a piece of paper.
Yeah.
With tech, we can split every order for Joe. We can split it in how many areas that we want.
Yeah.
So someone can pick the stuff from dry. Someone can pick the chilled item. Someone can pick the frozen item. Everything comes together. Go.
Yes. Yeah. So it was
First, that sounds like a great idea, right?
Yeah.
It's very complicated, of course. I mean, customers are complaining, we don't have a paper slip anymore. How can I check what I need to do?
Yeah.
People suddenly, packers need to work with the phone in their hands.
Yeah, it's moving to this digital thing that is challenging for many people.
So now we're almost catching up, that we're almost at the same speed as with paper. But we're still not there.
Yeah, but at a much lower cost or much more
and
efficient.
more scalable.
Yeah, more scalable. Exactly.
Yes. We were like, our printer was breaking down like...
And then, you
have no backup.
You know what they say about paper and the environment and all the good things.
Yeah, you could see it, right? So I came back from leave a couple of weeks ago, and I came in the warehouse, and it looks so much cleaner that we don't have all this paper lying around.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Nice stuff.
And then how are you balancing the pressure for this expansion, which I would call rapid, and maintaining the standards of quality and sustainability? Because normally you grow, you know, what they say about growing pains. You grow, and then people start saying, "Well, Greenspoon will turn into another."
Of course, people will say that, right? The funny thing is, like, we have a fundamental belief that we can only achieve sustainability if we have scale.
Yeah, that's true.
We can. I think that is our fundamental belief. And no, not everybody will agree with that belief.
Yeah.
And not everybody will agree with that belief.
Some people disagree. Yeah.
People will disagree. That's fine.
Yeah. But it's your belief, and that's what you're going to do.
And will there be another farmer shop that will start next to Greenspoon that will be even more pure organic than us?
Yeah.
Yes, probably. Yeah. Right. If there's a market, and there's a market for people who really want very pure, only organic regenerative products, that will come. Right. But that's fine. But we have very clearly said we can only reach real sustainability to scale. Not everybody will agree, but we try to, with the skill that we have, I can tell you, if I talk to a farmer and I can say, like, last year I took 1 ton of organic bananas, and this year I take 10 tons of organic farmers, we unlock so much.
Of course.
We unlock so much potential with everyone. Yeah. And I don't want to be able to say to that farmers, like, okay, last month it was 1 ton, and this month it's still 1 ton, because that's not how the work works.
No, it isn't. Yeah. And you know that 1 ton could be 1 farmer. Yeah. But 10 tons using that same formula would be 10 farmers.
Exactly.
And that's the
And I think there's a very fundamental difference that we have in, like, when we talk about impact, and the impact that we're making is what I'm saying about quality-based pricing. Let's first get the leaders in, right? So the people who really want to innovate, we pay them a better price. They can supply, and it doesn't need to be millions of farmers, right? No. People always say, like, we can only reach impact if we do 1 million farmers. We're like, no, we start with a couple of 100 farmers, and then we grow and scale, and we take more people on board. And all those people don't need to be as eloquent as you are in visiting us and being able to business-minded, right? But they could be farmers, and they could. And you could consolidate this and sell it to us, right? And that's a benefit for everyone.
That's very true. Yeah.
You build skill advantages, right? Because if, as a farmer, if you don't organize, right, what's happening with brokers and stuff in the market? If you don't organize, you have no selling power.
That's right. Yeah, and that's what has happened to a lot of farmers.
Yes,
because we don't come together, we don't collaborate, we don't aggregate our products, we don't work, we don't cooperate.
Yes.
The brokers have a field day.
Yeah. And I can tell you, if your neighbor sells bananas at 60 shillings per kg, it's very difficult to convince this farmer that to do something different, to go to organic. If you say, like, I will still pay you 60 shillings per kg. But if you say, 100 shillings per kg or whatever, 80 shillings per kg.
Yeah.
Would you just want to try a part, right?
Yeah,
you do a part of your farm.
Yeah.
You don't have to switch immediately all the way. It's like, okay, probably you will try.
Yeah. So organically grown and regeneratively grown will still be a core
100%. We will always be
what Greenspoon does, right?
Because it will only get bigger, right? It will only get bigger. It's more and more important that we grow crops in a more sustainable way. Yeah. We want to have reduction in pesticides. Yeah. We want to have more climate resilient crops. I think also the whole agroforestry story, it's quite cool.
Yeah.
It's, seeing is believing, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a farming angle to it, but there's also like almost even a tourism.
Yes. There's a big tourism.
It's a tourism. Tourism there. You build like for some of these cool. You have these A-style Airbnbs and those kind of things. Yeah. It's different in Machacos if you're in a nice forest compared to a desert.
Yeah, that's true. But every landscape has its own charm, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
Excellent. So how ready do you think the Kenyan market is for this organic and regenerative?
I think very ready.
You think so? Huh?
Yeah, very ready.
It's something that's growing and growing steadily, yeah?
Yeah, but seeing is believing. Seeing is believing, right? Yeah. Tasting is believing, right? If people would not buy from Greenspoon if they would not taste, feel, believe that this is a better product.
Yeah. And I kind of agree with you because I've been in this organic and regenerative farming for about 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And even in that period of time, which is about how old Greenspoon is,
right?
Exactly. In that period of time, I've seen a big shift.
Yeah.
Even in the players, the people who have the inputs. When we started out, getting organic inputs was 1-2 suppliers. Mm-hmm. Now every day I get a call by a friend.
Me too. Yeah. Every week. Can you share this with your farmers?
Joe, I've got this organic fertilizer. They're coming fast and furious.
Yeah.
But many times I tell them, no, please go and meet the farmers.
Yes.
Understand what they're doing. Don't just sell me a product.
Yeah.
But at least there's a sign that the space is opening up.
100%.
And we're seeing that with consumers as well.
Yeah, and I believe there is a refresh in generations coming through. I mean, I think the most important thing why Greenspoon and why Bio exists is safety, right? Food safety.
Yeah.
And with Bio, we have really set a standard there with food safety. With Greenspoon, we also want to set a standard. Yeah. So for us, for example, in the category of stuff that we won't sell is pesticide contaminated products. Yeah. We will never sell those.
Okay.
Yeah, which
is quite prevalent. Huh?
Yeah. It's very prevalent. With tomatoes and
we know. Yeah.
And we tested products from a not Greenspoon.
I read you posted an article on that, and I read it with a lot of fascination.
I had not expected it. I had not expected it.
You didn't expect the response, eh?
No, but I also had not expected that we would test them, and that we would see such a big difference.
Oh, really?
Because it's invisible, right? You get what I mean, right? It's invisible. Okay, you know that there is.
Yeah, but you don't know the extent. Yeah. And so, just give us a little summary. What did you find out? You took, you don't have to name, but you took produce from different.
From different normal supermarkets where you and me would
ordinarily shop.
Yeah. And we tested them compared to, and this strip is very simple. Yeah. You take a sample from the skin of the product. Yeah. You put a reagent, and if it's red, it's pesticide positive. Yeah. If it's blue, it's clean.
Okay. It's that simple, right?
It's that simple. Yeah, and we could see with the products that we bought from normal supermarkets, it was completely red. It was more red than I had thought.
Did any of the products taste not?
We didn't taste it, but I think you cannot taste it.
Or not taste. I mean, did any of them test less? Did any of them test blue?
Ours tested blue.
Not yours.
Yeah, ours tested blue, but there was typically the items that are under the soil. Yeah, they were less red.
Okay,
because there's less direct spray impact. Yes. Right. So the carrots were less.
Yeah, the things that grow in the.
Yes, okay, carrots were less red.
Yeah.
But we still need to replicate this test. And the funny thing is, nobody's doing these tests in Kenya. So, like, one of the very important things that we want to do at receiving is that we know it's costing money.
Yeah.
But that we start testing on a way more regular basis, because it's something that we want to do, but the cost is very significant.
It's prohibitive, yeah.
And someone is going to carry the cost, whether it's us, whether it's the consumer, whether it's the supplier. So someone
well, ultimately, if they're full of pesticides, then the consumer carries the cost.
Exactly.
Anyway, bears the cost. Yeah.
But I would love to do more like that. Okay. And I think in that sense, the Kenyan infrastructure is not set up for success. And I also deeply believe that the Greenspoon cannot be the only supermarket who wants to go organic. Yeah, we need to have partners, right? We have other fruit and vegetable shops. So if you're listening, I know them well.
Yeah.
If you're listening, we need to do this together.
Yeah, every time I talk to other buyers, vendors of fruit and vegetable, and ask them, why don't you at least start off with an organic section? You don't have to be organic exclusively.
Yeah,
it's the same response. Oh, we don't know if there's a demand for it, and we do. We know there's a demand for it as producers.
Yes.
Or they say the perishability.
Yeah.
You tell us that it's going to cost more. You want a higher premium price. We say we don't want a premium price. We just want a chance for you to take our produce, because organic produce looks and
wonky,
taste.
Yeah,
it looks different.
Yes,
you might not get the same size and all that, but we always hear them say that.
Not sure.
All the time, it's not yet.
That's very sad. Very sad.
Yeah. But I don't buy that. I don't believe that.
So you need believers, right? You need believers.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have like in the beginning when we were back in the days when we started, we put ourselves in ambition that for every regular item or conventional item, we want to have an organic alternative.
Yeah,
that was completely impossible.
No.
We burnt our hands.
But you live.
But we've done nowadays. We are getting bigger farmer cooperatives that are supplying organic fruits, and we have blueberries.
Yeah.
We have stuff that I hadn't dreamed of. You're now doing bananas.
We're doing bananas, and we're doing them completely organic.
Yeah.
And we're getting
amazing, right?
We're getting a good yield. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it's just getting started, right? Because if you invest in your soil health, over time your soil will give you back, right?
Yeah.
It's like your credit card versus your savings account, right?
That's
you
true.
invest in your soil.
Yeah. And that's what we're beginning to realize. We're realizing it all comes from the soil,
Exactly.
Yeah. Many farmers, when we start, we just plant.
Yeah. You take something from your credit card.
Yes. We don't put in. Yeah. So you have a background in strategic consulting and in econometrics. So you're very data driven. But how do you do the hard? How do you balance the two? The hard data and the softer leadership skills. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely
intuition, people management, which is probably the hardest.
Absolutely, and especially for running a business where you need to be tough but fair.
Yeah.
And in all relationships, right? Yeah. So that's with my team, with my suppliers, right, and with my customers. Right? I want to be tough, but fair.
Yeah.
Right, and also kind at the same time, right? So that's the area where I have to learn the most in. And that over the past years I'm making progress, but there's still.
But you're learning.
I'm learning every day.
I think we're all learning. Every day is a school day, as they say.
Yeah, and if you don't have meetings where after the meeting you think like, "Oof, I could have done that better." Yeah. Right. Then you are not learning.
You're not learning exactly.
And like having a lot of difficult conversations. We are now with a team of 120 people.
Oh.
So we have 120 people, 120 families, 120 health, 120 mental health, financial situations. So I always start when I have a difficult conversation with someone to start like, I hear you, right? I hear you, and I cannot do everything, but I will try to listen to you and try to make sure that we make a situation that is fair for you, fair for me,
interest of everyone.
fair for the company.
Yeah.
And that's what we're always trying to do. And as long as you have that good intentions,
you should come out on top, right?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
What advice would you give to entrepreneurs who want to build businesses that aim to be both profitable and purpose-driven? Because Greenspoon sounds very purpose-driven.
I think having a purpose is just the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
Because if you set clear values and guidelines for yourself that you cannot cross, we have this conversation always with our team, right? Sometimes when we see something happening, and so we can always revert, and we don't like it, we can always revert to our values and say like, okay, our values are honesty, quality, and making impact, right? If we're small, we're not making an impact, right? Or if we try to sell products that are not organic as organic, we're not honest.
Which is yes, exactly. Right? You're not making an impact.
Exactly. If we have a product that is maybe cheap, but it's not quality, it's not according to our values, right? Because we sell value, we sell honesty, and we sell making an impact. And for people who want to start a purpose-driven business, I like think ahead 3 years or 5 years, right? Think about everything that could happen. Are you going to make that?
Yes.
like people, very many people say like, you should just start a business. Okay.
Yeah.
But you be realistic.
Yeah.
Do you have the fallback net that you need? Do you have access to the investment or capital?
Yeah. That's true.
Like it's very different if I don't have any backing, right? But I will start as a consultant tomorrow, right? Only thing that I need is a laptop and PowerPoint and Excel, right? It's realistic that I can finance that myself.
Yes.
But if I'm straight out of university with two friends, I'm going to start an online supermarket. It's pretty difficult.
It's a different.
How are you going to get that warehouse? How are you going to buy your first products? How are you going to build the tech, right? Do you have that ecosystem, that net? And if not, I would always recommend you to join a consulting company, right? You see more companies, you see stuff that you like, that you don't like. Then join a startup. Join a startup and then sit next to and say like to the CEO, I say like, hey, today you're here, the CEO, but I want to be in your shoes. And that's the easiest, fastest way to get there, because then you have built credibility, right? So then suddenly you have built that business. You have built a business. You have been sitting next to the CEO. One day you can say, nice. Thank you, Mr. CEO. I've learned what I need to learn. I'm going to start my own thing. I have my network of other people that can join me. Can you back me? Do you have connections to investors? And then you can start.
And hopefully get the goodwill you've had from being with that.
And otherwise, there's accelerators. There's accelerator companies. The Antlers. There's stuff like that. It's a good start, right? Because what we're talking about, the learnings that you need to take in starting a business, people have learned those lessons, right? Read biographies. I'm listening to the Elon Musk biography, and it's so terrible sometimes. It's impossible to listen to. But there are many lessons.
And that's what you have to take away from these things, is the lessons.
Like when everything looked like it was not going to work, it was not going to work, it was not going to work, and then you turn it around. Those are great lessons.
Excellent. What excites you most about the future of Greenspoon?
I would love to do more, like the customer side is very nice, right? I want to grow more customers, want to make more people happy. I'm happy nowadays when I'm coming on a party that people said, like 4 years ago I said, what Greenspoon? I said like Greenspoon. Greens. And now people they have maybe not shopped with Greenspoon yet, but they know the brand. So many people have shopped with us. They like it, what we're doing. They see a lot of potential as well, right? They are sometimes frustrated about the things that we don't do well yet. That's life, right? And I acknowledge that. And I would love to build more cool farming initiatives at scale. Right? Build very beautiful farms, right? Where we really set the standard in terms of animal welfare, in terms of organic, both in quality and yield. Right? I think that's very important.
Because the two have to go together.
Exactly. And for example, use cool machinery to do stuff. Right, and build real businesses. Right, behind Greenspoon, when you're shopping from Greenspoon, you're shopping maybe from 1,000 different businesses. Right, and building those businesses in terms of quality, developing new products, doing stuff that we thought was not possible.
How about the future of digital commerce? Because you're an outlier, being one of the few digital companies that have lasted at least the 7 years. What do you see the future of digital commerce here?
I think what is a very interesting development is AI in terms of coding. We have really seen a very productive for a productivity boost in terms of coding. Right, we can do with a very small team. So like we have 6 developers. Which is bigger than what we were, but still very small compared to like what big guys are doing. And there we think there is a lot of potential in making the experience more fun, right? More surprising, right? Easier, and just generally more friendly to use, more accurate. Like for example, I want to be able to tell Joe, it's Sunday 1 p.m. You have not done your groceries yet. I want to be able to tell you, Joe, have you thought about your groceries yet? We have
to prompt.
We have already. Here's your basket. What do you want to eat this week? It's automatically. You just say yes or no.
And it's here, right? It's coming.
It's coming. We're not far away. I think within a year we would have a completely different conversation. And we are going to be so fast that we're going to be delivering to you in 60 minutes, right? So even before you thought about that you needed to go to the supermarket, we have thought about it. We have prepared the order. In 60 minutes, it's at your door. It's in perfect state. We have extremely nice people at Greenspoon. We'll put it nicely in your fridge. we will do more so that you have to do less, right? So we can probably at one point we can cook cheaper and better than
that's
you.
how far you want to go, huh?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, many people have house helps in Kenya who cook, but also many people don't.
That's also true.
I think a new generation there will be less.
Yeah. No, we're moving away from that with this Gen Z and Gen Alpha. Exactly.
Yeah. And I want to be able to. We can source better. We can produce at scale. Probably we can cook better than you. Sorry.
Okay.
Right, and we can probably do it cheaper.
Yeah, okay.
Right. So at one point we want to do a lot more there.
Okay.
So that's even from the organic product to the finished meal, you will taste something that you cannot believe.
Alex, a couple more questions. If you had a magic wand, if you could change something about the food systems today, what would you change? One thing about the way the food,
Yeah, I would wish there would be more people who are thinking long term.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think if you look at agroforestry, the regenerative farming, I mean, you cannot go to these farms and not come back inspired.
Yeah.
Right. And I would love to. I noticed that there is a lot of people who want to do very good things, but they're really struggling in getting the support, whether that's from market access, from investors. Yeah. And there's some really cool ideas. Yeah. And if you look at like where all the capital is allocated in the world, there's a lot of capital going to many places. And I think that those areas are underfinanced. Right, because people are just looking at them very commercially. Yeah. But we need to think not in 3-year, 4-year return.
We think sustainably.
We need to think in 10 years.
Long term. Yeah, that's very true. And in a sentence, what does farming, whether urban, organic, regenerative, what does farming mean to you personally? What do you understand?
I love visiting farms. I love listening from farmers. I love listening to farmers. I love problem solving in general, right? So I love to hear about stuff that has gone wrong.
Okay.
And people who have done stuff that didn't work and have learned from it, but didn't give up.
Okay.
That is just so inspiring, right?
Okay, excellent. So as we come to the end, because I like your energy, I want to do a quick fire with you, real quick. Okay, we'll start. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
What's your favorite vegetable to cook with? What's your favorite vegetable?
Broccoli.
Okay.
Yeah.
One Kenyan food everyone must try?
I love chapatis.
Chapatis, eh?
Yeah.
City life or farm life?
City life.
Okay. And you're a village boy, you describe yourself.
I'm a village boy, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And one word to describe your leadership style?
One word?
Yeah.
2 words.
3 words.
I think I want to be together.
Together?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not behind you. I stand next to you.
Okay. So you walk side by side with the person.
Yeah.
Sure. Any book you've read that you recommend us to on on leadership or on business or even on farming that you've read that has stood out to you? Or if you don't read
the Elon Musk book. I think it's really nice.
My wife read it.
Yes.
And
what did
she
you
read
think?
It, she said it was interesting.
Yeah.
But
there are many lessons.
There are many lessons. Eh?
And I love Steve Jobs. I love the Steve Jobs biography. It's if you want to learn about business leaders, learn about biographies.
Yeah,
because they tell you a lot about all the things that gone wrong.
Mindset and
mindset.
The
detail and like you will find out like how extremely detail oriented people are.
Yeah,
and I think people in business can be more focused on the details because the details matter.
Yes. The devil is in the details.
Yes.
The details matter.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Alex. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. There you go. Listeners, we've come to the end of another very exciting episode of the Accidental Farmer podcast. And today we had Alex Osinga from Greenspoon, and he gave us a lot of insights on how to run a business that is both profitable and purpose-driven. So tune in again for another edition of the Accidental Farmer podcast, where we bring you the real dirt on farming.